For the first time in what feels like maybe over a week or so, we can kind of just go out here and hunt. There's no new news, no new developments as far as great ones go. We just know there are great one red deer out here, and we're gonna go and try to get one. And I've cleared hunting pressure up here at some of the best lakes, and I'm hoping to clear this last little bit down here in the west as well. I'm pretty much wanting to focus on the areas that have the most red deer today, and we'll see if Quattro has anything in store for us. Definitely not a bad look over there. We got a level 7 red deer. Again, it's just been a trend throughout this grind. A bunch of max weight estimate 7s, and then another little one over there to the left. So I've been really working on this setup and trying to kind of maximize the time that we spend out here. And I think we did hit both stags. So the way that I've kind of been doing this is taking my shots from here at 300 meters, and then what I'll do is fast travel over to the outpost. And the reason I do it this way is there is also a herd of red deer that drinks right where our tent is, and we've used this particular mechanic a lot in the past, where basically, if we spawn like within about 150 meters, maybe 200 meters of the location of where animals drink, they won't be visible until we get beyond that range. So now that we're over here, we should be able to see them and get a shot at them as well. Now in this case, he is just a level 5, but again, when it all comes down to it, regardless of what the levels are, we don't really mind that much until we see a level 10 pop up, so that should be another respawn for us. And again, when it comes to kind of using that strategy where we basically place the tent on top of a zone, what's really nice is now we can fast travel back, and he's dead probably within, I don't know, 100 meters of that tent, if not less. So we can very quickly kind of start to move through a lake of this size and really bring down a lot of the stags that drink up here. And we've got two here, including one of my favorite racks for the red deer in general. I think we've seen like 2 different great one racks so far posted in the community. I hope there's one like this just kind of scaled up a little bit more. I feel like the one that we have is pretty similar to the diamonds, just with more tines. I feel like they could use that mass and really make something big, and who knows, there may be a bunch more racks that have yet to be discovered. Now, one thing that does happen, and fortunately in this case it's not going to be an issue, is that when you fast travel, there still can be kind of some remnants of the render glitch. And if those of you that maybe haven't heard of that are wondering what I mean, basically back in the day, if you went out of render of a dead animal at all, they would disappear, and unless you drop them in their tracks, it would be nearly impossible to ever find them and claim them. Now, if you fast travel, you can run out of render all you want, but if you fast travel away, they can disappear, but generally you can find the body. It's invisible, but if you can just kind of track them down and get to that point, the confirmed trophy prompt still pops up, and you can still claim them that way. The harvest screen just kind of flashes on screen and then goes away, but the harvest and everything does still count. So I've been doing that. It works really good. And if you've got areas like this where you have a bunch of red deer drink zones and like a lot of ground to cover to go and claim your animals, that might be a good strategy to go with. In the meantime, 2 pretty similar racked red deer over there. Now that is a tough shot. It's like 370 meters. But again, it's one of these ones where we're shooting across the lake, and I actually have another tent over there to try to help with the claiming process. So nice and I kind of in the shoulder area, although didn't plan on that guy taking a step forward. So that one might not be hit very well. The first one just went down. Let's see. It's going to be really, really difficult. Okay, we got another hit on that one, so it should go down as well just before he went out of render. And like I said, again, we can just kind of fast travel across to this tent and not cost too much time, but sometimes there are other red deer over here. I would check on that first. And it's almost like we're just going back and forth here. We have big ones on the left side of the lake and really tiny ones on the right side. There's a level 4 here, and at this point, I think we're best off to shoot him and then actually go and claim him, rather than like fast travel across, go get those ones, and then fast travel back across and run this again. I think it's going to save us the most time, and it looks like maybe we never got far enough away from these ones to get them to spawn in. It's another herd just kind of in between, so we may need to kind of get over here and then look back this way. I still can't see those other red deer over there. It could be the case that maybe they sort of moved down and were with the herd that we shot this guy out of. Go ahead and praise Rascal so he can stop barking. And it does kind of get difficult. This is where some of the decision making comes into doing these grinds. I think it's probably best, because we ran this far to track level 4, that we go ahead and kind of eliminate the backside of this lake. And it's the one area that I don't have tents, and really the reason is we've got tents at so many other lakes we just don't have the room to place another tent on the map. The max is 16, and we already have that many placed, so a little bit of additional running that comes into it, but I think it's worth it to really go around and get every red deer stag that we can. So at this point, we're going to be doing a little bit of running, but like I said, I think in the long run, it's worth it. And on occasion, like, I'll get over here and not see any red deer, so I don't always end up doing this run, and I think it is a good thing to, you know, do it on occasion and make sure that we're not missing anything good at this back end. And I guess there is another stag somewhere in this area. We know he's not very big based on the weight, but if he shows up, we'll definitely try to get him too. So one more stag as we go along. In fact, a gold level 6, a rare thing to see pop up. That perfect rack that is 0.2 above the gold requirement. And what I had hoped to see when that Melanistic popped up, because I think half of his rack was that. But unfortunately, he wasn't quite big enough to get to that gold mark. But maybe that's something we'll get as we kind of continue to do this grind. But there's one more track there, and actually 2 more stags back in that area. It could very well be the case that one of them is the track that we had back behind us, because I never did see any fleeing, so not a shot I often take with the red deer's head down, but one that I felt like we could have made. And I think that should be 2 more, even though they're small. Just every stag, in my opinion, counts. I think we may see the difference here, though. This is the one we shot with its head down, and because we had to shoot behind the shoulder, we got lung, liver, and stomach, and we sort of had to rush the shot at the second one, and I'm trying to figure out exactly where he ran, because these are his tracks, I believe. Guess he must have went back that way, but he definitely ran a good bit further, and it's because I'm pretty sure we only got single lung, so there are occasions where taking that shot with the animal's head down can work. It just sort of depends on the angle. Like, if you're trying to go right into the shoulder, you can end up with a lot less penetration from the, like, hitting the shoulder and this leg bone here. You kind of see it with that single lung shot. It can be a little bit risky to take, although with the M1, at least at that range, it's plenty powerful enough to punch through there. And once again, we've just fast traveled over to our tent. There are 2 more kind of similar stags to the ones that we shot over here at like 350 meters. Now, I think that should have been a lung shot, and I don't know how we're going to get a shot at this guy just yet. You know what? Really, really interesting. I guess we just hit some brush. It was a 6 and a 7 again, just like it was at long range. And I know both of those stags died. I saw the hunting pressure come up. And the plan is to go and try to claim them still. I wonder why they would spawn so similarly to what they were. A couple of shots may help to bring that guy down. Not the way that I prefer to do that, but kind of just the way it goes sometimes. So this would have been our one close shot here. Actually, another gold level 6. He has a different score, so that's kind of good. I'm feeling like we're seeing very, very similar red deer kind of all over this lake, and I believe that was the 8th or 9th stag. By the time we claim them all, we'll have something like 11 or 12 from here. There's another one laying there. I think every stag we have yet to claim has the same rack, so we'll pay attention to scores and weights and everything. So one more here. This was the 330 meter shot. A gold again, although with a level 7 you would kind of expect it. 208 kg and 182.9, they are different, just so similar. And maybe that'll be a good thing. Maybe that'll mean, I don't know, more varied respawns? Because that was 5 at this lake with that rack, and I don't think it's an extremely common rack, so kind of odd to see that. I believe it is the same rack, but this one does look a little bit different to me. He's 181.9, so I thought he may have been a little narrower, and that would kind of make sense. And we're getting into the ones that we made poor shots on, but 408 meters. I don't know how much that made a difference, because we did get intestines on that initial hit when he stepped forward. But at least I guess we messed up the lower scoring one out of those 2. And then our other one, I do believe, went down as well based on the hunting pressure. Hopefully Rascal can help us out. But I did count, that does make 11 stags at this top right leg, and what would have been a gold again had we made a better shot. I tried to go for the neck, and man, we missed that by centimeters. Too far to the right, but we almost had, I think, 4 out of 5 with this rag making gold. It doesn't usually happen that way. Rascal is waiting on a little bit of praise, I think. But we can now go to another lake. We finally got, I think, every stag here, other than maybe that one that we had a track from. And I really don't know, it could have been one of those small too. So once again, this lake up here just to our west is sort of similar. We're going to start at this tent. It's going to be kind of on top of a red deer zone. and we can sort of move around and see what we can do. Now, I've noticed in more recent kind of runs through that some of these zones aren't doing the exact same thing, and we may need to adjust our setup, but for the moment it is still the same. And as we can kind of back up a little bit, there's that rack again. We have at least 2 stags spawning in here, and I prefer not to have to call them in, but just in the location they were drinking, that was pretty much not an option. But if we can, before anything moves, get our shots off at those couple of stags. I always love when we can hard shot 2 side by side. For one, it really saves on track. I mean, obviously Red Deer will run pretty far with a shot from the M1, but that right there is why I use it. Those quick follow-ups where we can just get multiple hard shots or potentially 3 stags all in one herd. I don't know if we've done that yet today, but definitely on multiple occasions, even if it is just long shots and we have to track them, I think that saves time in the long run. I've not seen this, by the way, at this lake, and I don't know if it has anything to do with the calling that we did, but everything is stuck here. So I don't know that we had to take those quick shots to get our red deer down, and finally we see a silver level 7 with that rack, missed out by 0.2. Not sure why the Mouflon are standing there as well, but not like any of these are important to us, so we can just be on our way and head to the next tent. And there is at least one. This has really been the case pretty much every time today, where we kind of fast travel over to another spot. The stag that we basically spawned so close to that it wasn't visible has been a little less than impressive. A level 5 again, and I don't see any big ones running out of there. But again, same strategy, just kind of fast travel back and claim them. Now, this was the lake that we had our diamond flee from in the last video, and I think it was right after that I did a run, and I want to say it was like 2 7s and an 8 or something that's been over here. And since then, the quality of red deer has been nowhere near what that day kind of had for us, so I'm hoping to maybe start to see a little bit of that come back. And I think there is one more zone at this lake to check, so we'll try to find our 5 and go and take a look. And stuck animals again at this lake, a 123 red deer, but this roe deer down here too, just standing there in place. I'm not sure what the deal with that is, but like I said, that is not something we're worried about, so we can just continue on. I mean, this is what I've been seeing though, just like 5s and 6s ever since that one that just had a bunch of stags. And it looks like in this instance we can't really use the tripod because they are, for whatever reason, going a lot further back into the trees. Now this is, like I said, where the diamond came from, and maybe I haven't been looking far enough over to this side. I still have no clue what they're doing. It's not close to the end of their drink time. We can get that one. I don't know where that other stag is, man. We just got him spotted at the last second. We might be able to get him. I think fortunately he kind of ran our way and allowed us to get a lethal shot in there, and that should have gotten them both. You know what? I'm not sure what happened on the first one. There's a chance that we hit the brush. Yeah, he's running around looking pretty unscathed, so I guess shooting through the trees wasn't the best idea. But I'm pretty sure in the end, we're going to end up getting him down too. So I guess it might be worth a shot as we are running up through here to claim these. And by the way, not that it matters on a level 5, but that follow-up that we had actually got the vital hit to keep the score. But I'm wondering, since we're running, it's going to be close to 200 meters from the shore by the time we go and claim our other one, it may be worth kind of going down and looking to see if anything else spawns in. And maybe we'll even run a little extra far just in case, because it almost doesn't even make sense like how many stags and big stags were there that one time for us to not see anything even remotely similar to that ever since. So we'll give it a look before we head off to what I intend to be the last lake of the day, and that is going to be this one down here, which we have a little bit of a new development with a tripod down there. There's been like 4 herds of red deer at that lake, which makes it kind of tough to properly grind, and honestly, it doesn't matter how many herds are there. It's difficult to not delete the zones, but we'll see how we do. So this is a little glimpse into what this particular zone looks like. There are, I think, at least 6 stags, and I'm kind of thinking we're going to need another tripod because, at least for this particular run, these red deer are kind of like up into the left where I don't think the one we have is going to work. The more I'm looking at it, I'm not sure any tripod is going to work here, so there is one big one behind the one that we're spawning, and I want to say from what I'm seeing it is a level 7 rack, so we could kind of continue forward, I guess, because these ones aren't going to hear the shot, and if we can maybe drop the first one. We could get the bigger one back in there behind him as well. That's a strategy we've had to go with before, and I'm kind of thinking that's about the only way to make any of this work, so we'll try it. Got the hard shot. We actually got the big one as well. A lot of times when, especially, you know, you're looking at a herd of potentially 30 animals, you take that second shot and there's hinds fleeing everywhere. One of the hinds ends up getting hit by that bullet instead of the stag you're trying to hit, so that kind of worked out. Now when it comes to these ones, at best I think we're going to get 2. I really don't see 3 happening, but sometimes they stand around long enough to make that happen, so it doesn't really matter which we go for. We need to get them all eventually, so we'll kind of just go sort of left to right. Not the, oh, okay. That's what a lot of times happens. We just dropped a hind by accident. Now I didn't expect this. I thought they were all close enough that they would spook, but we can potentially kill all 4. Ooh, I don't know about that last shot though. We kind of swung a little bit too far to the right. That might be the only thing that's messed us up. We got that one good. Now that guy's going to go down as well. He's probably going to float over to us. Or he can warp back up on land. Well, that works. So I think we just killed 6 stags in a hind by accident and didn't delete the zone. Not bad. And funny enough, the one that I'm kind of most interested in is that hind, because I don't have a clue where we hit it. It's laying right there. So already we'll have kind of 4 claim by the time we get through this little area, and mostly little ones other than that 1-7, which is kind of unfortunate. But this one, oh wow, just ran right into a hard shot. Couldn't have done any better if we tried. But yeah, I mean, that is the thing that can kind of happen. It was, I suppose, fortunate that it dropped. At the very least, we could claim it and see what happened and then just kind of move on. But I think we should need to claim 3 stags still, because one of the 4 that I counted was, of course, the hind. So there's our big one here. I saw another one laying over on the other side, and man, I said at the time that we were lucky we got this shot in. He was just ducking out of the way. We almost missed him. And then we had one down up here. Kind of got lucky and hit the track on our way over. And I already saw the other ones laying right down in this area, so the fact that we were able to get all 6 stags, plus the hind, I guess, and not delete the zone, was pretty key in my opinion, because the biggest issue with this spot is that a lot of times, like if you delete the zones, they'll drink over on this hillside, and we've had them go back and forth a couple of times already. I really don't want to have them drinking up there. It's really tough to get shots in. They start to run around in circles. Sometimes they come down this way, sometimes they kind of go up into the trees. It's just really not the ideal spot for grinding red deer, and if we can kind of get them to stay where they are, I think we're going to be a lot better off. So we may place another tripod for sort of like that first round of shots, I guess we could call it, that we had originally, but that worked out pretty good, and those were like the 3 main spots. Between them we easily shot 20 stacks today. I don't know what the exact number was, but would have been more than 20, I think maybe 22, 23, something like that. And the plan had been to end the video there. After all the time spent running around on Quattro, nothing really was happening, but after spending many more hours out here, just really not for the video itself, but just to continue the grind, we finally had another nice animal pop up. We have shot quite literally hundreds of red deer stags since basically wrapping up that video, and not so much necessarily for this result, hoping to see 1 level higher, but ultimately just trying to keep on going with this grind. And we finally got a level 9 to spawn again, and it is our first official big rack red deer of the red deer grind, because our last one kind of had the mismatch rack with the 1 big side and the 1 small side. Now I will say, kind of a low estimate of 222 to 268, but how many times have we seen that top end be the exact score? So for the sake of trying to hardshot this guy, we're actually going to stay on the ground and not use the tripod right beside us. And as soon as he lifts his head again, we will attempt to shot in there with the M1. Not actually a hard shot, but not going to be an issue. Probably into both lungs, and that is the advantage of going for those kind of hard shots. There's no real risk. If you mess it up, it's probably going to go into the lungs. And nice to kind of end this video now with something a little bit better after, like I said, hundreds since the last kill actually in the video. And you know what's interesting as well, I mentioned this in the last video, having shot a albino red deer stag, I believe as an initial spawn, in the first grind for a diamond Truax red deer, and that was in this very spot. And the reason that I find that so interesting as we're trying to locate the blood here, is that's the first red deer stag to spawn on this side of what I call the Tornado Lake down here in the far south of Cuatro Colinas. Every other red deer has been on the other side, and it's interesting we finally got one here, and it was a level 9, so I'm really hoping to see the upper end of that score estimate. We'll cross our fingers as we go to collect him. It's kind of difficult to do that now since they've changed the way tracks and stuff are picked up, but a 264.7 left lung shot just behind the heart. With that, or we would have had a drop shot, but still very cool. Still very difficult to screenshot a diamond red deer and keep the entire antlers in the shot, but pretty cool. Nice to get another diamond along here, and one of our best. I actually don't remember what our biggest red deer is at the moment. I think it's 266 or 267, something like that. But now our official biggest diamond red deer of this grind, and just another one to the tally there. And it's always, in my opinion, a better ending to these videos when we get to come into the trophy lodge and take a look at all the progress we've made. And this lodge, I think I am going to take down everything that's not the red deer. Like I said in the last video that we were in here, this is the kind of empty lodge that I use for thumbnails and like cutting out screenshots for the different animals. And just for the sake of having an empty lodge to put all these guys in, I decided to bring them in here, and I've got just some random stuff around, but a nice new addition. I think we've maybe actually still got one more piebald hind. So why don't we take our random little piebald from Aurora and throw a multi-mount together with that as well. Shows that we can make it. I'll have to scroll all the way down here to the bottom. Now that one kind of doesn't count for the grind in my opinion, because it was an initial spawn from when they basically redid the populations, but I still think it's neat to have like all these in the multi-mounts. And we've actually got now with that one a full multi-mount with the stag and hind matching for piebald, albino, and melanistic, and that is what I would guess just the beginning of the red deer Great One grind. But pretty cool to get a sort of proper diamond. I'm really not a fan of the mismatch rack back there at, what was he, 252 I believe. So nice to get a 264, and I mean technically improvement, so hoping to see more and more of that as we go along. But anyway, that is officially going to do it for this video, so thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.